My goodness, I'm still upset with the Saudi Arabians for everything they do over there. They've funded the arms that went to the jihadists. They're not accepting any of the people, any of the migrants that have been the refugees that are being pushed out of Syria. Saudi Arabia is not accepting one. Why are we always the world's patsies that we have to go over there and fight their wars for them? They need to fight their wars. We need to defend American interests, but it's not in America's national security interest to have another war in Iraq.
That was Senator Rand Paul, Willie, wasn't it?
Yeah, taking aim at Saudi Arabia during the primary debates. That was about a year ago. Now the Kentucky Republican is looking to stop a $1 billion arms deal with the Saudis, citing the civilian victims of that country's war in neighboring Yemen. And Senator Paul joins us now from Capitol Hill. Also here at the table, Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editorial page editor Bret Stephens. Gentlemen, thanks for both being here. Let me start with you, Senator Paul. Why is it a good idea to block $1 billion of arms to one of our allies?
Well, first of all, it's our constitutional duty. The Constitution gave the power to initiate war to Congress, and there's been no discussion of whether or not we should be at war in Yemen. We're currently refueling bombers in the air, and we're choosing targets. That sounds to me like we're at war in Yemen. There's been no debate in Congress and no authorization. Our founding fathers were very clear that the executive branch was most prone to go to war, and so Madison said that with studied care that power was vested in the legislature. So this is our prerogative, and I'm glad that we're bringing this up, Senator Murphy and I, and we're going to have a vote because it'll be a privileged motion. There will be a vote on it this week, and I think it's a great opportunity to discuss whether or not we should be at war in Yemen.
So draw the line then, Senator, for our viewers between us, you believe, being unconstitutionally at war with Yemen and blocking arms to Saudi Arabia.
Well, it's our only way to participate in whether or not we should be involved in that war. Some of the arms that are being given or sold to Saudi Arabia are replacing tanks that they have lost in that war. The other thing that most people don't realize, and this ought to be debated, under President Obama's watch, we have sold $100 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia. I mean, this is an extraordinary elevation of the arms race there. And everywhere you look in the Middle East, you see U.S. arms, often fighting against other entities using U.S. arms. When tanks rolled in from Turkey, they were U.S. tanks, and they fought against Kurds who were using American weapons. About a month ago in Maraya, north of Aleppo, you saw Kurdish, Pentagon-backed Kurds fighting CIA-backed Syrian moderates. So It's a bizarre notion that we have arms all over the Middle East, and it doesn't seem to be elevating stability. It seems to be increasing chaos.
So, Senator, on the anniversary of 9/11 up in Connecticut, in my hometown, we had a 9/11 remembrance for families of survivors of the attacks that day, and Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy and Congressman Himes were up there, and it seemed they believed, as did a lot of the survivors' family believed, that the Saudis had a direct link in those attacks. So I'm going to ask you the question that I asked them. Do you consider Saudi Arabia to be America's ally?
I would call them a frenemy. I would say sometimes they're our ally, sometimes they're our enemy. I think Thomas Friedman put it well probably about a year ago when he said they're both arsonists and firefighters. Sometimes they help us and sometimes they don't. The indiscriminate Saudi arms that went into the Syrian civil war, many of them wind up in the hands of al-Nusra. Many of these arms wound up in the hands of ISIS. So, no, I don't think, even though their motives may have been to be helpful, in the end it was very much detrimental what the Saudis have done there. What they're doing in Yemen, you know, I don't know. I don't see a clear-cut legitimate self-defense in what they're doing in Yemen, and I think there'll be millions, if they're not already millions, of refugees, and I don't see the Saudis lifting a finger to take any refugees either from Syria or Yemen. So I think they stir it up, they're arsonists, and then they say, oh yeah, all the refugees can go to Europe. And so no, I don't have a great deal of respect for where Saudi Arabia is. They've been funding radical Islam through madrasas both in our country and throughout the world, frankly, and they say they want to change their ways. Let's see them do it. Let's withhold arms until we actually see some behavioral changes.
Fred, is it irresponsible